O'Hara and Kevin McStay with us now as we reflect on an action-packed series of football games. And before we head to Croke Park for the big clash between Dublin and Meath, let's check out two of last night's qualifiers. Longford versus Wexford shortly, but first Armagh's visit to Leitrim.
Armagh travelled to Carrick-on-Shannon on the back of an impressive first-round victory over Wicklow. Leitrim were looking to recover from their exit from the Connacht Championship at the hands of London. 8 minutes in and the first of an 8-goal rout. Kevin Dias picked out Eugene McVerry, who finished past Cathal McCran in the Leitrim goal. The second followed 10 minutes later, with Jamie Clark causing all sorts of problems for the Leitrim rearguard before setting up Tony Kernan, who had the easiest of finishes. It was starting to look ominous for Leitrim. Goal number 3 came courtesy of Kevin Dias, who picked up possession on the 45 and ran completely unopposed into the Leitrim square and slid the ball into the left-hand corner. 25 minutes gone and the game was effectively already over as a contest. It was Dias again just before half-time who was instrumental in goal number 4, feeding Aaron Kernan, who slipped McVerry in for his second. 4 goals and 8 points to 4 points at the break. 6 minutes into the second half and Armagh raised green flag number 5 when Caelan Rafferty unselfishly set up Eugene McVerry for his hat-trick. A minute later, wing-back Mark Shields got in on the act, waltzing through the hapless Leitrim defence before side-footing into the bottom right-hand corner. Leitrim struggled up front for the entire game. Emlyn Mulligan's absence was sorely felt, resulting in their first score from play only coming with 20 minutes remaining, courtesy of Kevin Conlon. Armagh at this stage were full of confidence, and despite 6 goals on the board, Jamie Clark had yet to make his mark. That all changed when he bagged 2 goals in the space of 3 minutes. The first, a superb individual effort. The second was a little more old-fashioned in its genesis, but the net effect was still the same. With his day's work done, manager Paul Grimley called the Crossmaglen man ashore to rapturous applause from the sizable group of Armagh supporters as they progressed to round 3 on a full-time scoreline of Armagh 8-13, Leitrim 10 points.
We wouldn't be reading too much into it. You know, we're back to work Tuesday night and we're getting ready for we're playing them. As I said, that performance now is over.
We got a lesson today, all right, yeah. Obviously, I suppose the goals really killed us. You know, it's a cliche, I suppose, but devastating, really. And you know, for the good start they had, we weren't able to recover from it. You know, so that was it, really.
It's been 3 years since Louth and Kildare last met on the championship. That was in a Leinster quarter-final at Páirc Tailteann, where Louth came out on the right side of a high-scoring match. In fact, in their last 6 meetings, 5 of which have been in Leinster quarter-finals, Louth actually won 3, so they have a decent record against the Lily-Whites. What they had to fear, however, was Kildare's record in the qualifiers, as they used the last 5 to reach consecutive All-Ireland quarter-finals. And it was Kildare who started the brighter, as 2 minutes in, Paul Cribben put Kildare into an early lead. Midfielder Pádraig O'Neill added a second point for Kildare, with Louth having to regroup with blood injuries to Pádraig Ruth and captain Paddy Keenan. And a point from veteran Johnny Doyle put Kildare into a 3-points-to-no-score lead. A Colm Judge free was the first score for Louth, to which Paul Gribben replied for Kildare. But Keenan was back on the pitch now, and Louth settled as Judge got his second point in a row, and Louth's first from open play. Suddenly the visitors were on top, using the ball well, and points from a Brian White free and 2 consecutive points from Louth number 10 Kieran Byrne put Louth into the lead for the first time in the game. But back came Kildare, who were unbeaten in the qualifiers under Kieran McGeaney and helped by 2 Mikey Conway frees, a point from Darrell Flynn, and the second score of the evening from Johnny Doyle put Kildare 2 points up. But the seesaw nature of the first half continued, as Louth then tagged on 4 unanswered scores in the remaining minutes of the opening 35. 2 from Kieran Byrne, another from Colm Judge, and this effort from midfielder Brian White meant that the wee county went to the break leading by 10 points to 8. and Louth took that streak into the early stages of the second half as well. Brian White landed a free to stretch the lead to 3, which went out to 4 as Paddy Keenan set up Shane Lennon, who scored from a difficult angle. The sides traded points before Kildare finally got a foothold in the second half as they outscored Louth by 5 points to 1 over the next 10 minutes. Niall Kelly put over 2 and further scores by Hugh McGrillen, substitute Alan Smith and Emmett Bolton levelled it up at 14 points apiece. Louth were now under heavy pressure, but they did manage to take the lead again in the 53rd minute as Kieran Byrne put over his 5th point of the game. Byrne showing the form that persuaded Carlton Blues to offer him a contract in Aussie rules. But that was Louth's final score of the game as Kildare wrestled control. Johnny Doyle and sub Shawnee Johnston helped put the Lily Whites in front, and an excellent free from the sideline by Doyle further increased their advantage. 4 minutes from the end, Kildare finally killed off the game with their only goal. A high punted ball deep into the heart of the Louth defence was taken by substitute Tomas O'Connor, who then turned the Louth goalkeeper before tapping to the empty net. A late Owen O'Flaherty point and another from the redoubtable Doyle deep into injury time meant there'd be no comeback for Louth. The last time Kildare lost to Qualifers was back in 2006 when they were beaten by Derry in Celtic Park. Yesterday they registered yet another backdoor win as it finished in Newbridge. Kildare 119, Louth 15 points.
I said when the draw was made it'd probably be our hardest qualifier to start with, and it was very tenacious, but I suppose we didn't help our own case by giving the ball away cheaply again like we did against Dublin, and again in the first half we got off to a good start and started giving the ball away, but in fairness the boys showed a wee bit of character in the second half, and for the first time in a while now we had a wee bit of impact from the sideline as well.
At half time we were in a strong position and we kicked on at the start of the second half and we went 4 up. We looked as if we were in the ascendancy and going to kick on. Ultimately I think maybe composure, crucial times under pressure cost us, and listen, Kildare have been in that position many times over the last 4 or 5 years, and I think that was the difference in the end.
All right, we'll chat about that match in a moment, but harp back to the Leitrim one first of all. Eamon, Armagh 8-13, big score a couple of weeks ago against Wick.